Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
You have to go back and say, actually, yes, I did return it. That's so stressful. What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood. I would have seen a school laptop and been like, what is this doing here? With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson. Or getting their girlfriend to like them again. A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to. The world is kind of going to be disappointing if you think you're the best at everything.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy.
And this is Margaret. And today we are talking about helping kids deal with disappointment.
Oh, this is a good one. I'm ready to talk about
this. It's something I really struggle with in all aspects of my life. I'm a bit of a fixer. I'm a bit of a I can make it all okay by dancing as fast as I can. I have that problem in general. I was just dealing with a problem in my own life. And my sister kind of stopped me mid-sentence and she's like, why are you even involved in this? And I'm like, great question. Because I heard that someone 9 counties over was having a problem and I thought it was on me to fix that problem.
Carla Naumburg, I just did a fresh take with her. Fantastic, for her new book for kids, How Not to Freak Out. And she talked about, I had never heard this before, that there's fight and flight and freeze or fawn. And then she adds fix to that as a stress response.
Thank you, Carla Naumburg.
That some people flip into fix. We didn't even talk about it in the fresh take, but it's such a good part of the book. I'm like, oh, that's me. I fix. I'm happy to help. I understand that.
Happy to help. Amy's book, by the way, coming out in January. I read it, needed it, loved it. But yes, it's called Happy to Help. And it's kind of about this phenomenon of being the person. And it's a great instinct to want to fix things, but it has huge downsides, as we say in New York.
This is something we experienced it this past summer with one of our kids. I have 2 kids in college, and one of my kids in college really wanted to get a summer thing that they didn't get. And I feel like I took it, my spouse was very like, we have to do something. And I was more like, okay, it's a bump in the road is part of the maturing process. And I don't know. In that case, I was able to see it more clearly than my spouse. Maybe it's because I've been doing this podcast for 8 years. I'm like, oh, no, this is it.
I know about this one.
This is the crossroads. We're not supposed to judge. Margaret talks about that. Yeah, so it was easier for me. And again, and of course, it was fine. But the disappointment is hard on you, watching them be disappointed.
Amy, before we go any further, I'm going to fix one thing, which is that we didn't do the mailbag. We're going to start with the mailbag. I mean, this might be the record. We should really keep track. Farthest we've gotten into an episode before remembering the mailbag. We've never gone into the second section of the podcast without the mailbag.
Do we ever just say we're not going to do the mailbag? We always do it.
We always do it. When we remember it, we do it.
Oh, yes. Wait a minute. Time for mailbag. Wait. Check the mailbag.
And this is a short one, so we'll get to it short and sweet. This is from our Facebook group. If you are not in our Facebook group, it is facebook.com/groups/whatfreshhellcast. Or you can just probably Google What Fresh Hell Podcast Facebook group, and you will find it. It's a comment from an anonymous user from their anonymous post, and they came back to the post after asking a question that so many people answered so helpfully, and they just said, I love this group. In a matter of hours, you've taken something I've stressed about for weeks and made it feel much more right-sized and normal.
That's great.
And that's what's going on the group, friends. Moms are talking to other moms. It's not Amy. It's not myself. It's just people who love and listen to the podcast talking to each other about the dilemmas in their lives. It is a very friendly, warm bath of a space.
Yep. Good vibes only, for real.
Don't come there if you want to lecture people. Don't come there with nonsense. It's good vibes only. And it's a great place to bring parenting questions, seek advice, or just tell funny and ridiculous stories about yourself or other people's amusement.
Yeah, or just say, like, is this dress nice? Or like,
whatever you want.
People are coming over, what should I make? It can be anything. It's the nicest place on the internet.
It's like a little extremely loving Greek chorus that you can walk into and say, like, I have a question. Take it to the mountain, take it to the oracle, take it to the What Fresh Hell podcast group. All right, Amy, back to disappointment. I found this quote and it spoke to me on what we're trying to get at, because disappointment, what do they say in court? There's a phrase where you're like, facts acknowledged in evidence or something like that. If I start a trial against you, we will both concede that you are Amy Wilson, that you live in New York. You know, like, we don't have to fight over every single thing.
Okay, right.
So that's considered facts already in evidence, I think. Something like that. Lawyers are pulling their hair out. I'm saying it completely wrong. But I think facts already in evidence is that disappointments stink. They feel terrible. Big disappointments are some of the hardest things that we deal with as parents. They're very much out of our control. And that's why they are physically painful, basically, when we have to watch our children face tremendous disappointments.
Mm-hmm.
Those are facts already in evidence.
Okay.
Now, I think mostly, hopefully, what we're talking about today is how we as parents are responding to those disappointments that our kids are facing and how we are helping them. And what's interesting in kind of prepping for the episode is how we are not making it worse. I'm going to quote another, first, do no harm. That's like the medical rule. And I think that is important in this. So here's a quote. This is from an article called Parenting, Disappointment is Good. Parenting, Disappointment is Good by Jim Taylor, PhD from Psychology Today. Here's what he says. Disappointment is a natural response to failure. But some children react to their disappointments in ways that increase the likelihood of more failure and disappointment.
Okay. So that's interesting to me, because that's in the category where I always like to start. Is like, is this a thing? Is this a thing we need to worry about? Kids get disappointed, whatever. It's part of life. He's saying that sometimes there are some kids sometimes that can react to this disappointment in ways that really do sort of dig a hole a little bit. And so we need to watch for that. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think we as parents can exacerbate that by the way that we respond, because we don't have any control about whether or not our kids face disappointment. Like, there is going to be the kid who has played lacrosse every day since childhood and gets cut, doesn't make the college team. It is going to stink, but we fundamentally, there's no point in trying to control that. That's an absolute.
What are these ways? This is interesting. How do children react in their disappointment in ways that increase the likelihood of more failure and disappointment? They get cut from the lacrosse team and they can't get out of bed?
Double down. They get depressed. They lose their sense of confidence. But I also think a lot of this article, because it's talking to parents about how disappointment is good, let's take it out of college. It's the fourth grader who got cut. I don't know if they cut fourth graders, but let's imagine the fourth grader didn't get the lead in the school play, right? Or didn't.
Anybody whose kid plays travel sports, yeah, fourth grade is, you don't get to be pitch anymore.
They get cut in fourth grade?
I mean, all kinds of too intense things happen.
Yeah. Okay. So this is happening. So the point of the article is helping our kids face disappointment rather than trying to move disappointment out of their way or solve their disappointments for them. Because fundamentally, disappointment is a learning opportunity. So if I'm going to give an extreme example, and this is, again, we try to avoid, this is mom's fault, it's mom blaming, but we are talking about our only role in this. And so our role when the fourth grader doesn't get the lead in the play, if our reaction is, I'm going to call that teacher. They're an idiot. Why did they do this? You really are the best. That we may not be setting them up for success in future failures. Disappointments happen for a wide range of reasons. And this is what Alison Armstrong goes on to say in this same article. Parents today sometimes try hard to smooth away life's rough edges in hopes of keeping disappointment at bay. Children who do not have experience solving life's setbacks have a much harder time when they are faced with the big ones. I think this is kind of the thesis of the article, which is we need to guide our kids to confront and accept their disappointments. You were just saying this about your child facing this thing that they didn't get, that your husband's instinct might be, we might need to do something about this. Like, how do we take action? And I think there may be situations in which something very wrong has happened, right? Someone's been really wronged and you may want to get involved. But in general, I think this article would argue that our role is your reaction. These things happen, and now we just need to help our child face this feeling in the best way possible.
We've talked about over-identification with, we should find that episode and rerun it as a fresh take because it was a good episode, the sort of pageant mom thing. What is that, and how do we see it in ourselves and avoid it? Anyway, I think that sometimes that comes into play too, that you might identify more with your kid not getting the part she wanted in the play if you were an actor, or you might identify. So we can over-identify, I think, with these things and feel their disappointment at least as keenly as they do.
And I think even getting out of the great Santini, I always want to be the Super Bowl quarterback, therefore I'm going to make my kid do that. I think that we just naturally see our kids with such love goggles, right? I remember kids being like, you're weird to my kid. And I'm like, weird? My kid is the best. Are you kidding me? They're so funny and great. It kind of boggles my mind that people don't like my children. How is that possible?
That's a good point.
They're the best. Right. And so I don't even think it has to be this outsized. I agree with you that happens, but you know what I mean? It can just be anything. Why wouldn't any company want to hire my kid or your kid? They're the best kids on earth, And so I think it is hard. You do have to, what do you call it? Put that piece of paper between you and the feeling, and you have to break the fire line a little bit to say, maybe my first reaction isn't, you're the most special person in the world. Why would anyone not see this for you? I'm going to make a phone call. I think that's probably not the greatest first reaction.
Or don't let your inner 12-year-old run the response that you have. Judith Warner wrote that book, and then they stopped talking to me. We've done an interview with her. Great book. And her sort of thesis is middle school is intense for all of us. And then when your own kid is in middle school and this one's not being nice to that one, that we have this fight, flight, freeze, fix response because we go back to that age developmentally. And it seems literally the same to us as to them, that Hannah's not talking to me.
And I say this all the time. I won't walk into my kid's middle school. My first kid was in 6th grade. They had whatever, blah, 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 around the world day. And everyone had to man a classroom and we're the Canada room. And blah, blah, blah. And I went and I truly was having a visceral bodily reaction to being in a middle school. And I realized, I said to my husband, I'm never going back in there. I'm not going back in. My middle school experience was terrible. And I mean, it really is that deep for me. I don't even want to be in a middle school. The smells, the kids, I was like, I got to get out of here. The walls are closing in. Total flop sweat.
So if we're talking about helping kids deal with disappointment, I feel like so far our advice is pretty much stay out of the way. Disappointment is fine and stay out of the way. There's got to be more to it than that, but that's where we're landing to start from.
And I don't think it's stay out of the way because we're going to be involved in this, as we're going to talk about. But the first instinct I think that we need to get away from, and the first notion we need to disabuse ourselves from is, it is my job to fix this. So I think we've talked a lot about the difference between fixing something and scaffolding it. Fixing is, I'm going to call that teacher and say this. And scaffolding is, how can you go back in and talk to them about this? We have laptops at the school. And one of my kids just went to school on the first day and was told they had not returned their laptop from last year. Now, I am 97% sure they returned the laptop. Number one is not in my house. Like, I kind of know what's in my house, and I would have seen a laptop, I would have seen a school laptop and been like, what is this doing here? You shouldn't have a school laptop. And certainly my instinct, kid was upset. It was very anxiety producing. Now here I am at school and everybody has a laptop and I don't have one. And to jump in and say, I'm getting right on the phone. I'm going to sort this out. But at this kid's age, I realized, oh, this is really not mine to fix. Like, okay, go back. You don't have any proof. I said, from now on, we're going to take a picture when you turn stuff in, because this has happened twice on different issues. And I get it. People are busy and overwhelmed. But basically, my role then is to scaffold and say, like, do you need to practice what you're going to say? This was very anxiety producing for this child.
I'm having anxiety listening. And you have to go back and say, actually, yes, I did return it. That's so stressful. But
it is, and it's scary. And someone's saying you messed this up and you don't think you did, and they're an adult and you're a child, and there's different statuses at play. But scaffolding is me helping them address the situation. The other version is me getting on the phone and saying, how dare you accuse my kid of losing the laptop?
Right. Don't do that.
All right, we're going to come back and lean in with our buddy Jess Leahy's book, The Gift of Failure.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. fresh.com, promo code LAUGHING.
Jess Leahy was, I believe, our very first Fresh Take interview ever. I believe Fresh Take number 1. We've done
that's
200 plus at this point. Fresh Take 1 was our friend Jess Leahy and her really excellent book, The Gift of Failure, which she's still speaking at schools and to groups of parents around the country 7 years later about this book.
She has also a second book now called The Addiction Inoculation that is also excellent. But Gift of Failure, I like that it starts this way. This is something I've talked about on the podcast before, that the absolute role of having children has completely changed in probably 200 years. That in the 18th century, people were having children to be the workforce, right? Kids were working in factories, on the farms. The idea of the role of children was labor, to serve a role in the operating system of the farm or whatever it was. And that has changed now, where our role is like cultivating this inner life of children in the 20th and 21st centuries in a really new way. I mean, my father talks often about his role with his grandchildren who he's close to. They go on vacation together. Like, they're very close. They have long conversations. He talks about his grandfather being this very imposing figure who sat in the corner and never spoke to anyone. And I remember talking to my husband's grandfather. At some point, I was down on the floor, like wrestling with the kids. And he said it in this very curious way, but he was like, my mother never did anything like that with me. And he wasn't saying it in a sad loss. It was like the idea that my mother would ever like be on the floor tickling me is just a completely different universe. All this to say that the benefits, I think, are a lot of probably mental health and dial in about taking care of our children, having that joyfulness with our children. It's wonderful.
And they're better off at school than in the mines, certainly.
We don't want them in the mines. That's not what I'm advocating for, just to be clear. Not into child labor. Don't want them back in the mines. But that our window for children to fail and figure things out on their own in the course of this change has probably gotten too narrow. My husband's grandfather ran away from an orphanage when he was 13 years old, started his life, started a sheet metal business, and like ended up being like the town guy who had the sheet metal business. Like, and here I am being like, can my child make the call about the laptop? Yes, he definitely can.
But we also ask more. Just take the other side of this. We ask way more of our kids. They're doing less gathering of crops, right? But they're also being asked to do 3 hours of homework a night and achieve and think things and make something of themselves. And I think, if you had a 12-year-old working in your family's fields, other than maybe like affairs of the heart, they didn't have the heartbreak of breaking their leg the day before the travel across tryouts, right? We were asking them to achieve in many fewer different arenas. You just got to be who you were. If you were good at milking cows, then okay, then I think there was just less to worry about. So we create this world.
And also there were far fewer choices, right? Nowadays, I kind of hate the phrase like, you can be anything you want to be. I'm like, can you? I mean, maybe, but it just is so wide. I do think there's something to be said for you grow up on the farm, like at some point your parents will die and you'll run the farm, and then you'll die and your kids will run the farm. Like, you don't have this unbelievable pressure of achievement and, oh my God, I have to achieve these lofty things. It's like just getting through the day was a win. I think that's a very good point.
Yeah. You didn't have to have dewy skin and get an A on a science class.
Right. You didn't have to be like Instagram ready while you were using the threshing machine and make that a TikTok where everybody wanted to sponsor you because you were so cool the way you ran your threshing machine.
Because you're so beautiful, right? And you're doing algebra, even though maybe you're not even really developmentally ready to understand algebra. We are pushing kids hard. I realize we're saying we're coddling to them too much, but I just don't want to say these bratty kids, like it was easier. It's hard on them. We're making things hard on them in new and different ways. And
I think it's the same part of the same thing, which is the pressures and expectations of what a child can be have completely changed from what a child could be, hopefully survive long enough to work on the farm and then take it over until they die. Very narrow pathways to what a child can be, literally anything from like Simone Biles to President of the United States to running these huge corporate, whatever, like the sky's the limit. And those expectations are filled with pressure. And then we maybe pressurize ourselves on smaller levels to be like, the role of any given disappointment seems very outsized. Because now, but you could have been an Olympic soccer player. If you break your leg, it's this. And maybe even if you're not looking at it that way, I just think in general, there's more pressure and more involvement on everybody's point about like helping children navigate the world for good and for bad.
I'm trying to think about how we help kids navigate disappointment, right? That maybe I'm always leaning towards older kids. We don't want to say, look on the bright side. We don't want to do like toxic positivity. I always think when my kids are experiencing disappointment, I try to let them sit in it and validate it and then try to present opportunities. Like you go out for ice cream and then you kind of watch them. I mean, and let them move through it with sort of watching over it, but not getting too involved. Let's dial in because I feel like, well, that's what you do. But what else do you do?
Well, let's dial in, Amy, on some actual tips, okay? And we'll say agree or disagree. Let's start. This is Megan Rabbit from the article How to Help Kids Deal with Disappointments. What not to say when your kid is disappointed, okay? Let's see if we can get a trifecta. Okay. There are three things.
Don't say that.
We said them all. Number one, you're acting like a baby. I mean, I've kind of done that. I don't know. And I also think sometimes when I have a kid who is emotionally dysregulated and upset about something in a way that is disruptive to the household. I have said before that we have a rule in our house that tantrums do not happen on the first floor. Tantrums happen upstairs. And so, and this may be completely wrong, but this is how we've always handled it, which is when you're ready to start accepting hugs, finding fixes, talking it through, come on down. But the out of control yelling and screaming happens in your room.
Mm-hmm. And then go have it and then go do it. And again, this is not a 3-year-old. This is older than a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I would say we start at like 4, though. I mean, it's a safe environment. Like you have a room where you pretty much know they can't get into stuff. But and I'm probably set far on the lane of like, do not indulge emotional outbursts because I'm a dead inside Irish Catholic. Like I get that. But I think that you're acting like a baby is not a smart thing to say. I mean, it's probably not a right thing to say. But I will say that I have said as my kids got older, like, yeah, this is the kind of thing that it stinks. And now you got to figure out how to walk through it.
Yeah, you're acting like a baby as you don't get to feel the way you're feeling right now. That's not helping them deal with disappointment. That's saying you're not allowed to be disappointed, which is very unhelpful.
It's not, but I do think that I think, and maybe people disagree, that it's acceptable to say to a child of a certain age, this is a very outsized reaction to dropping your ice cream cone,
Oh, okay. So that's a disappointment.
I'm not saying like you didn't get into the college of your choice, but I don't think you're acting like a baby is helpful. But I do think there is sometimes room to give the perspective of like, this seems like a lot for what the disappointment we're reacting to. And like, let's go handle that somewhere that I'm not in the room for.
Yeah, if it's a small, I'm thinking of times in my life when people have told me like I seem to be having a big reaction to something and maybe it could be smaller. It's like for your comfort that we're uncomfortable. That again, it's not about dropping their ice cream. If they're dropping their ice cream and they're still crying 45 minutes later, I think they need to go think about that for a while about themselves and work it out. If it's my girlfriend broke up with me and they're still sad 2 weeks later, saying, here's the other thing you're not supposed to say, it's not a big deal, is not helpful. It is a big deal. And I think that's our discomfort sometimes with the depths of somebody else's disappointment, sadness, dysregulation. We say, you don't get to feel that way about this thing, which I don't think is up to us.
I think it's not a big deal is a good one for me because I think I've gotten better about this. Like, it's a big deal to you. I think this is kind of, and we've talked to like gentle parenting people, or there's different words for it, but basically that feels terrible. That feels awful. And I have to say, I do this with adult friends too. I mean, I have really tried to make my first reaction to stuff like, I'm really sorry. That sounds terrible. I remember once I said to my friend,
Yes.
God, that is as hard as you think it is. And she just started bawling, crying, like, thank you for saying that. Like, and I think that is a really, really helpful first reaction. This stinks. Oh no, that stinks. I'm so sorry.
Not, well, you just have to move past it. It's not, I mean, you wouldn't say it's not a big deal to your friend, but you might say, well, you just have to move past that. Well, you just have to let it go. Well, there's no reason to get upset about it. None of that is helpful to somebody who's upset.
And this works for the ice cream cone and not getting into college. That the second the ice cream hits the ground, oh, that is the worst feeling when you get disappointed. You were so looking forward to that ice cream and now you lost it. That stinks. So the two things we have not to say right now are you're acting like a baby.
Got it.
Might have said that a couple times. It's not that big a deal. Definitely said that a couple times. And then number 3 is kind of what we were talking about earlier. Let's do this instead. So you're trying to skip the, oh no, the ice cream fell. And listen, there are times, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Maybe 2 out of 10 times, I guess I could reduce that fraction, 1 out of 5 times, the ice cream falls and I'm like, let's go back and get another one. You know, like it doesn't mean you can't ever be helpful. You can't ever, I mean, we talk about this. We talked about it with Jess Leahy when she was on the show. Her idea of like the kid forgets the homework, you don't bring it. I'm like, yeah, I probably bring it if it's if I can do it. Like if it's convenient for me. So all of these things exist on a spectrum, but I do think that this is the instinct that we're talking about. That is my number one instinct is it's not painful because I'm going to fix it. I'm never going to let you feel that feeling of the ice cream hitting the ground. Like that is where for people like me, I think we need to hear you have to let them feel the disappointment. You have to give them the gift of failure. Like you have to let them overcome their own things. It can't always be like, I'm going to call for the laptop. I'm going to bring the homework. Nothing you ever do is ever going to have a consequence because you have a mommy.
But there's different things, right? The ice cream falling on the floor is like a light switch. Like you can get another ice cream or not because they were careless or they whatever. I mean, there might be a reason they were pushing and shoving and then dropped their ice cream, whatever. But getting them another ice cream is one thing. Getting them a new girlfriend or getting their girlfriend to like them again or their friends to accept them again or getting the lacrosse team to take one more kid, that's not so fixable.
But they are attached to each other. So let's talk about that when we get back.
My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
How to handle your kid's disappointment. From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
Mommy, I dropped my ice cream cone.
How to react.
Oh, how disappointing. We can go back later and get you another scoop.
How not to react.
Life is full of disappointments, kid. This is probably just the first of many.
I really studied for that test, and I got a C-.
How to react. I'm proud of you for working hard. That must have been one tough test. How not to react. Do you want to go to Stanford or not?
Mom, nobody wanted to play with me at recess.
How to react.
Oh, honey, sometimes people just choose different playmates. I'm sure it'll be better tomorrow.
How not to react.
Names. Give me names. I will track them down one by one and teach them to mess with my baby.
Mom, I didn't make the travel team.
How to react. But good thing you'll be playing on the rec team. You'll still have lots of chances to play and to keep working on your skills. How not to react. I know you think that matters now, but when you're 35 and still living in our basement, you'll see. The travel soccer team didn't really matter at all.
I lost the spelling bee by one letter.
How to react.
I know you tried your best, and you'll get them next time, Tiger.
How not to react.
You think that's disappointing? Mommy wanted to be a ballerina, and now I work as a typist. Okay, so we understand that there's a difference between the ice cream and the college admission or the girlfriend heartbreak, right?
The fixable and the immediately fixable and the much bigger and not fixable and greater, probably.
But I think that as we talk about ages and stages, we've talked about like letting the 4-year-old go buy their own ice cream at the town pool with a $5 bill. Like it's a low stakes opportunity to practice. You can do this. You can interact with these adults on your own.
We can do hard things. Yeah.
We can do hard things, 5-year-old. And I do think that every dropped ice cream cone is an opportunity to start practicing these skills. It doesn't mean you have to do it with every dropped ice creams, but don't miss the easy lessons because the harder lessons are coming. And so, yes, there's a huge difference between an ice cream cone and a girlfriend breakup, but every ice cream cone helps you build the muscle that is getting you ready for the girlfriend breakup.
I understand.
So Katie Hurley, who we love, had on the podcast, just generally thinks she's a genius. She wrote an article for PBS.org parents called How to Help Kids Cope with Disappointment. So let's go through these. I'm going to go through them out of order because some of them I think that they build. One thing you can do is teach self-calming skills early and often. You've talked about this, working with one of your kids on like a meditation practice and trying to work on this basically is how do we regulate our own emotions? This is a skill that starts at age 2. So here are some ways to teach self-calming skills. She says, breathe the rainbow. Practice deep breathing while thinking about favorite things like each color of the rainbow. Doesn't have to be that, but all of us have said to a 3-year-old at some point, I need you to breathe, because you can just see them, and then my ice cream dropped. And once you start hearing that, right, we're like, you need to be breathing. So I think that it's not complicated. There are apps on the phone. Have you ever seen these? What is it called? A GIF, I guess? It's like a little animation that plays. Yeah, I guess it's a GIF.
I'd call it a GIF, but I'm not surprised you and I disagree. It's a two kinds of people. Yeah.
It's an age-old debate, Amy. I like GIF. But they have them that are breathing GIFs or GIFs.
Yeah. My spouse has one on their phone that they use. You watch it and you breathe with it. Yeah, like it waxes and wanes.
It's like a circle that opens and then a circle that closes. And for kids of mine who have struggled more with self-regulation, I find that really helpful. Like, look at this and breathe. And you can do it with a 3-year-old and you can do it with a 17-year-old. That all of us who do any kind of meditation, yoga, like breath is the key to the anxiety vestibular amygdala system.
It's the vagal nerve response. It stimulates your vagus nerve.
That's a very good, and it's simple. Like, again, we think we know it, but remember to breathe. Remember to breathe before your test, whatever it is. And like the first thing in dealing with disappointment. Use art to work through feelings, coloring, drawing, and molding clay. What relaxes you is this question. My mother, who I turned to for everything, she was a therapist and really smart about problems. But at the end of like a long, difficult conversation, she would be, go take a hot bath. That's what she always said at the end of every long, difficult conversation. It's like, go take a hot bath. And it's right. That was our way to calm down in my family, is like soaking in hot water makes you feel better. But help kids find whatever that is. I have a kid who it was Legos. Like it would just take him out of his mind. Whatever, a kid who maybe plays guitar, whatever it is, walk around the block. What do you go to when you feel this overwhelmed feeling? Listen to soft music is an option. I don't know. Or listen to really, really loud music.
Right. Listen to music you like.
Yeah. And again, is that something that helps you? And we've talked about this. In Red Brain, what is the kid going to say? No, that's not helpful. But so these can't be offered while we're in Red Brain. These are things that we talk about. What helps us calm down? What makes us feel better?
You create this in a calmer moment. You have this menu. You have a menu of these things available, and you talk with your kid about these calming strategies, and then they can look at it like, well, I guess I'll do hold the soft pom-poms one. They can pick from a menu that you discuss when they're not already in Red Brain.
And spoiler alert, what you're really teaching them is not to take a walk. It's to say, Dorothy, it was in you all along. You are going to be able to handle things without me, because these are things you do to soothe yourself. These are not just things I do to soothe you. Or you come and ask for a hug and I soothe you. But someday you're going to be going to somebody else for that and working these skills. Other suggestions, read or ask a parent to read for you, go outside and play, snuggle with a stuffed animal or a favorite toy. This is just pointing constantly to your children. You can self-soothe. It's an important skill, very important skill. Empathize first, we talked about, right? So the minute the ice cream cone hits the ground, that stinks.
Empathize first. Yeah. Again, do this with adults too. Empathize first. Yes.
It's really hard. Man, I do like to skip this step and go right to, you know what we could do? We could this, we could that. Take a beat.
Or stop being a baby, right? Or like, you seem really upset.
Stop being a baby. Go upstairs. No tantrums downstairs. Don't know who I'm talking about. Practice delayed gratification. I think this is something that it's just talking about, right? Remember when you learned, I had a kid who taught himself how to do a front flip during the pandemic. Remember how long that took? Remember how many times you failed before you did it? Emphasizing for kids the joy. What do you say? Learning it is hard, but doing it is...
Oh, yeah. This was Amy Chua from the Tiger Mom book, which I didn't like that much, but she did have one thing I liked, which was getting good at something is hard. Being good at something is easy. She was talking about it in terms of the piano or tennis. It's hard work to get good at playing the piano, but then once you are good at playing the piano, it's an endless fount of joy to be able to just sit down and play whatever you want. So it's worth getting to that part.
Help your children manage expectations. This is something that I'm working on right now with a kid who's on a sports team and wants to be at a level on the sports team that they're probably not right now, and I don't know if they can get to, and trying to constantly emphasize, look at where you were and look at where you are now. You may not be moving at the same pace as the other people on the team. So being best might not be the right goal for you. The right goal for you might be being 10th best. Like what's an achievable goal versus what I think is a very kind of young person's goal, best or nothing. And
it takes me back to what you were saying about the marathon. Let's not attach being 10th best in the state to you're playing this sport this season. Let's attach personal best. You achieve a personal best for yourself at some point. That's the goal.
Yeah, because otherwise you're missing a huge win and you're grabbing a loss. You're going out of your way to grab a loss off the high shelf, which is I'm not number one on the team. For you, the best possible outcome might be getting to being 12th in the race. And that would be huge for you. But if you only want to be first...
To finish the race is huge.
Finishing the race is huge, right. And this is work that happens starting at age 2 and starting at age 4. And kids have really different set points. And I have a kid who's like, I'm the worst at everything. And then hilariously, I have a kid who's like, I'm the best at everything. And I mean, we'll pick up, bottle it, but it has its own challenges, right? Which is the world is kind of going to be disappointing if you think you're the best at everything. Flips a grilled cheese once and it's like, I'm a chef. I'm amazing. I should open a restaurant. Like there's downsides to that too. There really, really are. So I think helping kids manage expectations, super important. And then I saved it for last because this is really what we're talking about. Be a guide, not a fixer. I heard somebody say, and I wish I could credit them, I can't remember who it is, saying their mother described herself as the umbrella keeper. So like you come to her and you grab an umbrella when it's raining and then you keep going about your day. And she's the umbrella keeper, but she's not the rain stopper. That's a very different job.
And she's not the chasing you, do you need an umbrella? Because how upset your kids will be, I won't give detail, but I had a situation recently with one of my kids where we thought the disappointment would be profound and long lasting. And wow, this person is really going to need some emotional support. And like by the next day it was fine. And I couldn't believe it. And I was so glad that I didn't overly lean into like, do you want an umbrella? How about 2? I have 4 umbrellas. Why don't you have them? Why don't we make the whole room umbrellas?
Let me build a tent over you. No rain will ever touch you.
Yeah. Are you okay? Are you okay? And then like 12 hours later, it was like it hadn't happened. And so again, because we hate to see our kids disappointed, this was a moment where I had to breathe the rainbow and give it a day. And to my surprise, not as many umbrellas were needed as I thought.
Such a nice outcome. And I will say, I think that we try to talk about things that are useful, but the reason I don't want to skip that this is really hard. It's so hard. I think it's one of the top hardest things I deal with as a parent is those kids who were your best friends don't even want to talk to you. They turn their back when you walk up to them. I'm going to go in there and take names and kick butts. Like that's my only option. Or I just find it so frightening. I was just saying about a kid of mine did something in public and I couldn't tell how it was going to go. And I was like, oh God, is it going to be humiliating or great? I have no idea. And I was saying to my sister, they say that like having a kid is having your heart walking around outside your body. And then it's like your heart is on stage and is it going to be accepted or stomped on? I mean, it is so hard. And you will have 10,000 opportunities while you're raising your kids to try this. And so it's not every ice cream cone and it's not every forgotten piece of homework and it's not every spilled milk is like, well, no milk for you then. You'll learn your lesson. It's just a reset. And I think the 2 most important elements are empathizing first. This stinks. This is so hard. I'm really, really sorry this happened. It's terrible. And then how can you fix this? Not how can I fix this?
We solved it.
Solved it. That's disappointment, people. Done and dusted.
We'll put links to all of those different strategies we mentioned today and research and some of the fresh takes we mentioned too, because we've done interviews with Katie Hurley, with Jess Leahy. We know them. They're all friends of the pod. So we'll put those in there as well.
Deep dive on this one, guys. Just keep going. And if you want to find any other topics like that you're dealing with at your house, you can always go to What Fresh Hell Podcast. There's a search button there. Type it in. Picky eating. Type it in. Homework. Whatever the situation may be, go. You can also just Google What Fresh Hell Podcast and then the topic you're looking for and find episodes like that. I do it all the time when I'm like, did we do an episode on this? Let me Google What Fresh Hell Podcast. And I do it all the time.
We do it and you can too.
Google it. You can too. So you can find all sorts of different topics that we talk about by Googling What Fresh Hell Podcast and the topic. It's 2024, friends. So exciting. And with that, we will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening.
So long.